As the clock struck midnight on a desolate highway, a lone gas station stood as the only beacon of light. This was not your typical bustling gas station, teeming with travelers seeking respite from their journeys. Instead, this was a remote outpost on the edge of nowhere, its lights flickering like a lighthouse in the sea of surrounding darkness. Our protagonist, a weary traveler, pulled into this lonely station, his car a solitary vehicle amidst rows of vacant pumps. The hum of the engine was the only sound that punctuated the silence of the night, a silence that hung heavy and ominous in the air. His footsteps echoed on the pavement as he walked towards the station, the cold night air cutting through his coat. Inside, the station was eerily quiet. The fluorescent lights hummed, casting long, distorted shadows across the empty space. The only other sound was the faint crackle of a radio, its signal distorted and distant, echoing from somewhere behind the counter. As the traveler filled his tank, an uneasy feeling crept over him. The silence of the night was suddenly broken by a sound that made his heart skip a beat. A chilling voice, barely more than a whisper, echoed from the shadows. It was a plea for help, desperate and haunting, leaving the traveler frozen in place, the fuel pump forgotten in his hand. His eyes darted around the empty gas station, searching for the source of the voice. But there was nothing. Only the flickering lights, the empty pumps, and the chilling silence of the night. The traveler stood there, his mind racing, the voice echoing in his ears. The whisper was like a ghost, a phantom voice that sent a chill down the traveler's spine. It was a voice that didn't belong in the desolate station, a voice that didn't belong in the silence of the night. It was a voice that belonged to the shadows, a voice that carried with it a sense of dread and fear. In the dead of the night, the traveler was left facing an unknown entity, with a chilling plea echoing in his ears. It was a typical evening at the gas station, until the arrival of an unusual customer. As dusk fell, the gas station's attendant, a gruff man with a heart of gold, was going about his routine duties. The hum of the fluorescent lights and the occasional chime of the cash register were the only sounds breaking the monotony of his night shift. Suddenly, the calm was shattered by the screech of worn-out brakes. A rusted, old car pulled up to the station, its headlights casting long, eerie shadows. The driver, a man who appeared to be in the throes of distress, frantically stumbled out of the vehicle. He was pale, his eyes wide and fearful, his clothes disheveled. The attendant, sensing the man's panic, hurried over to assist. The customer rambled, his words tumbling out in a rush. He spoke of a looming danger, of a shadow that followed him, of a terror that gripped his heart. His voice trembled, his eyes darted around as if expecting some horror to leap out from the darkness. With a comforting pat on the man's shoulder, the attendant reassured him, promising to help. He turned to fetch his phone to call for assistance. But when he turned back, the distressed man was gone. The rusty car was still there, its engine humming softly, but its driver had vanished. The attendant searched the area, his heart pounding. He checked the restroom, the mini-mart, even the dark alley behind the station. But the man was nowhere to be found. It was as if he had evaporated into thin air, leaving behind only the echo of his terrified words. Bewildered and shaken, the attendant returned to his post. The rest of his shift passed in a blur, the silence of the night now an unsettling void. Every shadow seemed to hold a lurking menace, every sound a potential threat. The attendant was left alone, the station's lights flickering ominously, with the haunting image of the vanishing customer. His story became a chilling addition to the gas station's lore, a tale whispered in hushed tones, a reminder of the uncanny and the inexplicable. The gas station's restroom mirror held a terrifying secret. In the quiet stillness of the night, there was a gas station that harbored a chilling secret. A lone traveler, weary from the road, stopped for a quick rest. He pushed open the door to the restroom, its hinges squeaking eerily in protest. The room was dimly lit, casting long, menacing shadows across the cracked tiles. As the traveler washed his hands, he glanced up at the mirror. His face was haggard, his eyes heavy with exhaustion. But as he continued to stare at his reflection, a slow, creeping sensation trickled down his spine. His reflection seemed to shift, morphing into something dreadful. His eyes widened as he saw his reflection warp and change. His face twisted into a malicious grin, mirroring none of the fear he felt. His own reflection seemed to mock him, its eyes gleaming with a sinister light. It was as if the glass was no longer a mirror, but a window into a realm of terror. The traveler's heart pounded in his chest, his breath coming in short gasps. He tried to look away, but his gaze was locked onto the horrifying figure in the mirror. His reflection was no longer his own, but that of a grotesque entity, a creature from the darkest corners of nightmares. The figure in the mirror began to reach out, its hand extending towards the traveler. The air turned cold, a bone-chilling cold that seeped into every pore. The traveler felt a primal fear grip him, a fear that urged him to flee, and so he did. He bolted from the restroom, leaving behind the twisted reflection. Gasping for breath, he jumped into his car and sped away, leaving the gas station and its terrifying secret far behind. He would always remember the mirror, the horrifying reflection that was not his own. It was a chilling reminder that sometimes horrors lurk in the most unexpected places. The restroom's mirror had become a portal to fear, reflecting not reality, but the deepest horrors of the mind. Pump number 5 was not like the others. This tale unfolds at a rather ordinary gas station, nestled in the heart of a sleepy town. But even the most commonplace locations can harbor chilling secrets, and this one was no different. Its haunting secret resided in pump number 5. Some say it was possessed, others whispered it was cursed. But one thing was certain. Pump number 5 had a mind of its own. It would often spring to life in the dead of night, through a start, the numbers on its display whirling as if an invisible car was being filled. The locals began to share hushed tales of a ghostly figure, a spectral attendant forever tethered to the pump. This apparition was said to be seen on the darkest nights, standing by the pump, seemingly tending to a phantom vehicle. The figure was described as a man dressed in the attire of a bygone era, his face obscured by the brim of an old-fashioned cap. As the tales spread, customers were wary of using pump number 5, especially after sundown. But the gas station's owner, a pragmatic man, dismissed these stories as nothing more than local lore and urban legend. One stormy night, however, he decided to investigate the strange occurrences himself. Armed with a flashlight and a steely resolve, he approached the notorious pump. Just as he reached out to touch the pump, it whirred to life, startling him. The numbers began to roll, but no gas flowed, no car waited. He turned to leave, but out of the corner of his eye, he spotted a figure by the pump. The spectral attendant, as real as the fear that gripped him. The figure looked up, and their eyes met, a chilling moment etched forever in his memory. From that night on, the owner never dismissed the tales again, but he didn't remove the pump either. It was a part of the station's history now, a part of its identity. The haunted pump remained, a chilling reminder of the unseen forces that could be lurking anywhere. The gas station on Elm Street, a place shrouded in whispered tales and chilling legends. This isn't just any ordinary fuel stop. This is the cursed gas station, a chilling landmark with a history as dark as the night sky itself. Imagine this: a gas station, seemingly innocuous, perched on the edge of a sleepy town. Its eerie charm is not immediately visible, but as the moon climbs high and shadows stretch long, it reveals itself for what it truly is. This station, you see, is believed to be built on an old graveyard, a final resting place disturbed for the sake of convenience. It's not the cheap gas or the stale coffee that draws people here, but the tantalizing whispers of the supernatural. Customers, lured in by curiosity or necessity, report seeing apparitions flicker in and out of existence. Ethereal figures, dressed in outdated attire, wander aimlessly around the pumps, their hollow eyes filled with an indescribable sorrow. But it's not just what you see that sends shivers down your spine. It's what you hear. Ghostly voices echo around the station, soft whispers carried on the wind, almost unintelligible. They murmur tales of lives lived long ago, their voices growing in intensity as the night deepens. The employees, hardened by countless spectral encounters, continue their shifts with a stoic resolve. They've grown accustomed to the spectral inhabitants, the strange occurrences, the inexplicable chilling drafts that sweep through the station, even on the warmest of nights. There's an unsettling beauty to this place, a chilling allure. It's a haunting reminder of a past that refuses to be forgotten, a monument to the unseen world. Here, in the heart of this quiet town, the living and the dead cross paths. Lives separated by the thin veil of mortality intertwine in the most mundane of places. A gas station, a graveyard, a spectral meeting place. The cursed gas station stood as a monument to the unseen world, a place where the living and the dead crossed paths.